We do have May 5th, May 19th, and June 2nd, with some really good presentations coming up. So this one, I kind of wanted to get the information out there, and so there's two particular guidebooks that we've been working on behalf of NSPS Workforce Development Committee. We've got a really great committee, and now my dog wants to eat the pool man now that I close the door. But we've got a really good committee that we've been working on all of this. So it's I thought we kind of introduced everything at the spring meetings last month. The outreach presentation we pretty much had done the fall meetings. I made some tweaks, and the committee made some tweaks on it kind of November, December. So we rolled out kind of a new edition of it for January. And then we've been working on also the other one is basically kind of a crew guide, so credentialing, education, and workforce. And so this one's all about kind of upskilling our existing workforce and being able to retain them and providing them the tools to kind of better themselves within the profession. So there's a couple of those. So we'll run through kind of the outreach. I know Will had kind of talked about the outreach event that they had done, which was cool. Was not even for a school kids. It was more working adults. So that's pretty awesome. That one's a little bit. We highlight a little bit of that in here, but let me throw in the chat really quick too, because I these are all on Dropbox, and so you guys can kind of just download them and follow along if you want, or take notes. But let me throw these in the chat really quick. And this first one, this is the outreach one, and then you guys can download them. I printed hard copies of these and I took them to the NSPS spring meetings for everyone that was there, which everything in here is hyperlinked, but it's also nice to have a printed hard copy. So if anybody wants printed hard copies, I did print a few hundred of these, and I can shoot them out to you guys at any time as well. Just I'll mail them to you if you want kind of a hard copy of it. But so running through just kind of the outreach aspect of it, this was really geared towards really what I want to kind of highlight is anybody who wants to do outreach. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. There's so much information that's out there, and hopefully this guidebook kind of takes you through some of the steps. And we talk about talking points and what items to bring on each kind of age group as well. So it's really kind of cool to do that. And then I want to kind of highlight another one as well. But excuse me, we go through just kind of the outreach basics, and then the 5 ways to kind of get involved as well. So just establishing those relationships, reaching out to the schools, those that from like a high school level, we can use a couple of programs, the career technical education, so the CTE classes. They have under what's called Project Lead the Way. They have some surveying component in there, and so we've been able to do that with our local high schools here over the last few years. We've gotten a few different schools from there, attending any kind of career fairs as well. I'll kind of run through the highlights of those. Just we've got hands-on presentations already, hands-on presentations as well as PowerPoint presentations, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel there as well. Under the mentorship program, so there's another one under the crew guide. We'll highlight a lot more on the mentorship aspect of that. And then as well, we've talked about it. We had Taylor and Nolan and those on, and Stacy on in February to talk about the YSN mentoring program. And those signups closed this last weekend. And I think they ended up really close to 50 mentors and 50 mentees. So that one's going to be a really cool pilot program. So we'll kind of piggyback on that over the next couple of years as well. But we go through and just kind of highlight certain things about, even just public speaking and how to get yourself comfortable with that kind of stuff. Being involved with your state associations, your chapters, part of the association as well is a really good way to just kind of get out there and get your public speaking comfortable with those kind of things. And then With the high school kids, they can be a little more tough, but they do ask some really good questions. I think of all of the age groups that are probably you feel the most uncomfortable with would be the middle schoolers. I think that's kind of been my experience. The elementary kids are a lot of fun. You got to calm them down a lot. But you can have some really good conversations with the high school kids and definitely the elementary school kids. The middle schoolers are takes a little bit of patience to kind of get through some of those, but so we kind of highlight just understanding how to do the whole public speaking aspect of it, and then there's tons of opportunities on where we can get into different programs. So obviously elementary schools, it's fun, grandkids or kids reading week. I'll highlight a few of those books that we can take into that as well. Middle school's a lot of fun. Future Cities, that's a one we've been participating on, and a few other schools throughout the country, but it's a middle school competition. And as part of that school competition is a NCES supports what's called the best land surveying practice. And so through Future Cities, when you come in to judge each one of the regional competitions, you get to ask the kids about how they applied certain surveying aspects to their city. And so you can ask them about how they create a 2D map before they created their 3D map. Did they use any kind of aerial photography or Google Earth imagery to kind of plan their cities, those kind of things? And so you get to kind of talk to them about certain things, certain aspects of surveying, and then kind of correlate it into how they built their city. And so that's a really cool one too. Of course, scouting has been around for a long time. The scouting badge has been reworked a little bit, so those things are available where it's been not quite as cumbersome and it doesn't take as much time. That's obviously the biggest complaint when it comes to scouting is the scouting badge is the amount of time to do it, and it's now trimmed down to about around 4 to 5 hours instead of almost the whole day that it was before. The high schools, of course, we talked about the Project Lead the Way and anything career technical education is another great aspect of the high schools. They each one of those teachers have some type of surveying curriculum as part of their CTE program, so we're not having to necessarily teach the teachers about the program or about surveying, so it makes it a lot easier conversations. Private schools, homeschoolers, that's homeschooler, I think, is one of the untapped market that we're really not getting involved with enough. I've had some really good conversations with homeschool teachers and parents, but getting them wrapped up to how we can get involved with the overall regional area is one of the big things as well. Um, Nick, we'll talk about that towards the end. That's a whole conversation in itself. Nick threw in the chat. Anyone want to weigh in on the NSPS non-boundary professional license? Yeah, we'll get to that at the end then. STEM and math and science classes, those are great. We actually have a Trigstar event next week in Las Vegas, and it's to the high school math club. So that's a really fun one that we do. Of course, the Trigstar competition itself is a great awareness tool. Of course, the kind of the negative when it comes to Trigstar is we never get any surveyors out of there. But I do know we've even had summer interns come out of Trigstar competitions, and one is still in surveying. We had another one who's now worked 4 summers with us, but he's got his master's in civil engineering and is an environmental engineer. And so, but he had 4 great years of surveying background in his curriculum there as part of a high school student. So now, as an engineer, he's got all that surveying background, which will really help him. Of course, women and minorities in STEM is another one. Robotics clubs and competitions. We had one convention come through Las Vegas years ago, and 2 years ago, and had about 2 to 3 thousand robotic clubs and participating for a kind of a world event. So we, on behalf of NOWS and Nevada Association, we exhibited there and just brought awareness to the profession. So there's so many opportunities to kind of get involved in little pockets here and there. Then you got letter L, that's that Project Lead the Way we talk about. career and technical education, state and national conferences on behalf of NSPS and NCEES. We have been going to a lot of the national conferences for career technical education. This year is in San Antonio. I think last year, I think Will even did it in Arizona, or maybe 2 years ago in Arizona. We had done it as well in Las Vegas prior to that. So 5,000 teachers and counselors come into those conferences and bringing awareness to the profession. So that's cool. The Future Farmers of America, that's been another really good one. State, we participated it here in Nevada. Every other year, there is a surveying component to the surveying program, and so the state competition. And so we've been able to support nationally and state-wise for FFA, which is a really good one. Trades and construction schools. Again, we have lots of magnet schools here in Southern Nevada, and so we've been able to kind of piggyback on a lot of those. The national and states, just American School Counselors Conferences. Again, hitting those conferences have been really good for all of those things. Jacob threw in the chat about the Girl Scouts in Minnesota. Yeah, that's another really good one too. The STEM badge, we can piggyback with the Girl Scout STEM badge, so that's another one. The math teachers conferences and Utah. Thanks, Jacob. The math teachers conferences is great to kind of promote the Trigstar competition and presentations, so that's another good one. Minnesota has been one of the best ones to over the last couple of years. They've been exhibiting at their Minnesota State Fair, which is one of the largest in the world, and all of this stuff obviously takes industry support and people wanting to get out and volunteer. And so being able to sign up for that, especially in Minnesota, I think it's a 12 or 14-day state fair. And so you've got to be able to, man a booth for 12 to 14 days, 10, 12 hours a day. So again, it takes a lot of industry support to be able to do a lot of these things. But local arts festivals, we've done that here in Las Vegas where have a whole STEM section to the younger kids. Any kind of career college fairs, again, community college. And then the biggest one would be those undecided students. And I think that's kind of what Will talked about last week, where he presented in Arizona. So those are a lot of fun. But a couple of things too on the right-hand side where my cursor is at the moment. We've been working with Be More Colorful and another company, their parent company is called Career View XR. We've recently, they shot all the videos last October and November and compiled all the videos, and we've released everything in January, and we've been kind of really promoting it the last since the spring meetings. But there's a full day in the life video, and I'll throw the VR experience in the website. There's a web version of this video series as well, and I'll throw that in the chat here in a second. But this one's a full 360-degree camera, and it was all what we call an immersive experience. So it's a day in the life of that, and starts off just kind of in the field and doing some topo work, looking for boundary corners. Talks about the drones, talks about the 3D scanning aspect of it, then kind of rolls into the classroom environment. So this was all shot in North Dakota and using North Dakota State University as well and their staff and their equipment. So that turned out really good. But the video series is really cool. We're trying to promote it right now to get it in each state association. So anybody who's got any relationships with your state education or outreach committees or even education foundations, I'll throw some information in the chat. It went out in News and Views last Thursday as well. We put some information out there. So it'll come right now. If you get the video series from Be More Colorful right now, it'll come with a headset. And then there's currently 3 assets to it. There's a 7-minute version, there's a 3.5-minute version, and then basically a 90-second version. of the video. And so depending on what environment you're in, you can purchase either all three video assets and either get your company logo on there or your state association logos on there, as well as the Be a Surveyor logo. Or and then right now they have kind of a surplus of some additional headsets, so it'll come with the headset as well. So those are a lot of fun. It'll have a casting mechanism, so if you want to set up a TV or a laptop, you can cast to a video so that you can have multiple kids standing around kind of watching the video all at the same time, and then one person wearing the headset. So those are that's a really cool experience. And actually, let me throw it in the chat really quick so you guys can kind of play around with that as well. It's on the Be a Surveyor website. That's kind of been our national voice lately, but I will throw it in the chat. There's the virtual experience that kind of goes with that same video. We shot it with 11 different scenes, and so with that web experience, it has basically all 11 scenes plus the videos and the voiceovers and those kind of things that go with the video. But one of the other things you can through NCWS, if you create an account, and I'll show that here in a few, but they also have a drone simulator that you can quote unquote rent through their hub, and it'll come with just the laptop and the controller in order to be able to run the drone simulator. This particular TV and TV stand and everything that we set up at the national FFA competition in Indianapolis, Indiana purchased the TV and the stand and stuff so that we could broadcast on there. But anybody can do that. So you could rent it out of the NCWS hub, or you can just go onto DGI's website and download their simulator software. It's free for everybody. They don't support it anymore, so you can't buy the licenses and things like that, but there is a free version, so you could go through that and set it up. That's another great experience. So tie into the drone aspect of it, tie into this 360 camera version, immersive version. Those are all a lot of fun. So good information to kind of follow along. And then just kind of resources. If you can click on the link, we created as part of the committee as well, the NSPS Workforce Development Committee. We created this PowerPoint presentation, and we finished it. I took over as committee chair last spring of 24 meetings, and I think we wrapped this up around the fall of 23. So it's still really fresh and new, and we don't really need to update it right now. But it's all there. You can use that PowerPoint presentation, and it's generic enough that you can just kind of fill in some information with your state association or your company as well. We only put kind of one or two logos in there. You can swap those out and throw your guys' logo in there. We also, Tim Murphy, Linda Foster, and I, we did a narrated version of that. So we kind of did a little bit of a similar podcast style conversation that goes with the PowerPoint presentation. So you can always watch that and kind of get a flavor of how that presentation should be. We were kind of thinking of presenting that. There is just the video, so that it's just a looping video. So if you have a table set up, you can throw it on a laptop and just have the PowerPoint presentation looping through there. NCWS has also been working on a lot of resources, so you can run through what NCWS has put together. And then we just kind of get into some of the additional resources. X marks the spot. You can order these through the hub as well, and tons of information on the X marks the spot. It's a game that you can kind of a pacing game. You go north a few steps, east a few steps, and work your way back to kind of the X. So that's a fun one. Teach the kids this is a younger elementary one, so K through 2. Lesson plan about reading a compass and kind of making a little bit of a paper compass. Again, another one, grades 3 through 8, you can compare some measurements. So using a tape measure and then maybe setting up some survey equipment and teaching the kids about different measurements. the BLM management put together a classroom investigation, and this one's pretty intensive. I think it's about a 40 page manual or so, but teaches the kids about surveying from the BLM's perspective. So that's a really great one. And then from a couple of books, you got Larry the Land Surveyor. This was written by Jesse out of Minnesota. And you can click on the link and it'll take you to the book. When I was in uh, Colorado for Geo Week, we had a Get Kids in the survey booth set up. And there was a gentleman that walked by and said, "Hey, have you ever heard of this book? I read it to my kids all the time, and it's called There's a Map in My Lap, and it's part of Dr. Seuss's Learning Library, and it is such a fun read." Again, so anybody who's running out and doing some reading weeks with their kids or grandkids, my wife took it to our granddaughter's um, second grade class and read it to them, and then we purchased like 25 books and then left it with all the kids. So it's a super cute book and it talks about maps and talks about north arrows and scales and those kind of things. So take a look at that one. That one's a really fun read as well. And then Esri's through Lindsay the GIS professional. They've got tons and tons of activities, storybooks, crossword puzzles, all those kind of things. Lots and lots of information on there. So, and then of course the Get Kids in the Survey. There is a PowerPoint presentation that goes with that. So you can run through the PowerPoint presentation. On behalf of Nevada, we do have a narrated version of that. So our Nevada Young Surveyors, a few years ago, I got them together to play each character as part of that presentation. And let me throw that in the chat as well. So I run and maintain a website called landsurveyingcareer.com. This was one that we had on behalf of Nevada years ago. And so I've been maintaining that, brought it back to life and maintaining that. So there's information on elementary, middle school, high school, those kind of things on there. But so on there for the elementary one, I did throw on the narrated version of that elementary school presentation. That's a lot of fun. So each one of our Nevada YSN members was a different character in there. So that one's a lot of fun. But and then of course through the Get Kids brand, there's just tons and tons of homework projects. You can get on there if you're going to go do any kind of presentation. I can certainly send you. Anybody just pays for shipping, but you can order all the Get Kids posters. And so shoot myself or Trish at NSPS an email, and we can shoot you quite a few different posters. And so you can take all of those handouts to the different kids. Each one of those posters has a Q&A that goes with the posters, and then different miscellaneous or homework projects as well to go with each one of those posters. If you want just some younger stuff, there's some coloring sheets so you can run and kind of grab the coloring sheets for the younger kids. Those are all fun interactive things as well. And then the virtual sandbox. So this is another one. I built a couple of them for Nevada. So we have one in Reno and we have one in Las Vegas. And when I was putting it together, I kind of wrote down all my links and all those kind of things. So if anybody wants to build the virtual sandbox, I kind of have a whole how-to on here. And one of the guys in our here in Las Vegas, Thursday is Take Your Kids to Work Day, and so he's borrowing the sandbox. He works for a local utility agency, and he's going to take the sandbox and do a whole kind of drone presentation, teach them about contours using the sandbox to do it. And then there's also a hands-on activity where you can help build. Let's see if I have a picture. I don't know if I have a picture in here. I don't think I have a picture, but there's a hands-on activity that Desiree Hurst in Texas, she found on a teacher's website called Twinkle. And there's a few different things that you can do through Twinkle that you can have some hands-on experience. And so there's one you can cut out of 3D foam and teach the kids how to kind of make their own little contour map, and then use the sandbox and those kind of things to correlate those items. So those are a lot of fun as well. Um, Vector, so I can shoot you vector art files so that you can order your own stickers as well, or you can kind of reach out to us. We've been shoot me an email, and my daughter Heather, we can shoot you a bunch of stickers. But we've been retiring some of them because some of them, as we go to these events, they're just not going, they're not leaving the table anymore. So we've been kind of retiring a few, but I still think we have well over 30 plus post or stickers. So there's a lot of fun ones. You can go to the Mentoring Mondays website as well and just place an order, a sticker order right from Mentoring Mondays, and then again you just pay the shipping on that stuff. So and then so we talked about creating that fulfillment. So NCSS has been a huge supporter over the last few years of not only providing Christian to come to our workforce development committees, but also the monetary aspect of it. So the Be a Surveyor website used to be started initially in North Carolina, and they've kind of put a whole grant together and had kind of this regional thing, and then NSPS took on the Be a Surveyor brand, and then it sat kind of dormant for a couple of years, and now Christian with NCSS is their outreach chair for surveying aspects of it that go with NCSS, and so he's been a huge supporter of it. NC's has taken on the monetary value to maintain the website. The virtual experience that I just threw in the website for that immersive experience, NCSS has been paying for that aspect of it. So they've been a huge supporter of putting some money to creating a lot of outreach. And then through this fulfillment center, you can order tons and tons of swags, from fidget spinners to the stickers. They've got little pennant things. They've always replenishing different things inside that account, so you can go on there and order things. But make sure you give yourself enough time if you're getting ready to go to an event. You need at least kind of a good 3, 4, 5 week window before you kind of go on here and you get things. So if you got something coming up in the next week or two, maybe reach out to Heather or myself, and we can try to get you some stuff. But usually coming out of NCSS, it's taken a good 4 to 5 weeks. So, but go ahead and create an account and go on there and log into all that stuff, and go on there and place an order. The max, I think, is about 75 items each. So there's so much valuable information. There's tons of brochures in there as well that talks about the different profession and all of the kind of leave behinds in there. So those are a lot of fun. And then, of course, just regular stuff. So, what else to do when you get to a presentation. Talk about robotic total stations, terrestrials, 3D scanning. We've been doing this a lot and scanning the kids. They have a lot of fun with that. Set them up and then just scan them and then kind of show them what it looks like on the screen. That's a lot of fun. Navis, they've actually created a scan app, a Scan Master app. So that's a lot of fun to kind of download. And then drone and LiDAR presentations, of course. Then we talk about the drone simulator through NC's, or you can even go and download the software yourself and create that whole thing. The VR headsets are what I just talked about, kind of that day in the life, which goes along with that virtual experience. So, and then of course, just kind of bringing any kind of raffle gift items or anything to kind of get the kids' attention. So those are a lot of the resources. I'll keep scrolling through here. Obviously, I've only got to page 9 of this particular guide, but we also did the connection. So there's a lot of, some schools will say, how does your surveying curriculum tie into our school Common Cores type stuff? And so there's a couple of pages on specifically. So if you're trying to meet with a specific teacher, there's the Common Core aspects of it that meet their needs. So you can kind of tell them which we fit under these particular Common Cores, and that way, if some teachers got to go get permission from principal or counselor, they can say, I want somebody coming in from that's going to teach about mathematics and surveying and a real career, and it's tied to these particular common cores. So those are important to kind of follow as well. And then moving on, I just talk about different talking points. So if you're going to go to a kindergarten through fifth grade, what items to bring. And so you've got the PowerPoint presentation, you've got the voiceover, and then just some simple talking points. This was kind of fun. I used it the other day when I went to my other granddaughter's third grade uh, class as well, and so just ran through a lot of the talking points that we had put together, and it's a lot of fun to kind of put this together. So, how do you get started in your job? Why is it cool? And these are all conversations geared to like 5 to 8 year olds, and so the words and the language are geared and kind of meant for their age group. So imagine being an explorer or a treasure hunter, right? So those are great conversations to have with kindergarten through fifth grades, and then same type of thing. What to bring with you if you're going to go to a certain presentation. Kind of highlighted certain activities on what items to bring as well. Lots of different videos. I think actually the new Northwest Surveyor I haven't put up on this PLSO link, but that Northwest Surveyor video, this was the original one from Antonio's story that PLSO did. I need to update the Northwest Surveyor one. But again, type of things, interactive things to bring, so you can bring the drones, bring the measuring tapes, safety gear, those kind of things, all great for fifth to kindergarten to fifth grade. So lots of fun on all of those kind of things as well. But so it's very detailed on whatever particular age group you're going to go to. Oh, this is what I was looking for earlier. We even kind of highlight which stickers are best for each kind of age group and which ones have been kind of going off the table. The What I was talking about, making the kids make their own fun little 3D map. That's this little example here. So Desiree had found the stuff on Twinkle, and then Aaron and the Get Kids team kind of rebranded it so that we can cleaned it up and made it so that we can take it in with Get Kids logos on it so that we can kind of continue to push that brand from an elementary school student. And then there's also an a topographic thing. So you teach them about contours with the 3D sandbox, and then you can kind of teach them how to read contours, and they have to pair up which contour looks like which map and which profile. So those are a lot of fun. There's a picture of the coloring sheets that come out of Get Kids. So tons and tons of information when it comes to that. And then we just kind of move on from there. We go to sixth to eighth graders and do the same exact thing. So what talking points? Now we've kind of elevated the conversation a little bit to, meet that 11 to 13-year-old conversation. And so the words are a little bit different for the age group as well. And same type of thing, kind of talk about the hands-on experiences and kind of a day in the life aspect of it. And then I kind of engage the audience. So now we're in a little bit, that middle school age group, so we can start to ask them a little bit of questions and have those kind of demonstrations and those visuals that bring with the kids as well. So those are a lot of fun. And then we kind of highlight again what items to bring for that particular age group. So again, lots of fun. Some of it becomes a little bit repetitive, but it's some things are really good for each particular age group. So I'll keep going through there. Again, make sure you log on to the NCAAS promotions, create that account with them as well. Interactive things, storytelling. Again, kind of talk about different things about storytelling. And then, of course, now you see there's a few more different picture stickers that kind of correlate with those middle school kids. We've added a couple more. NCAAS has these little mini pencils that are a lot of fun. So make sure you kind of go through all of that. Then we talk about, again, hands-on activities for each one of those particular age groups. And then keep going. So this was the future cities aspect of it. So best surveying practices. That's the judge and awards that we can do with the best surveying practice through future cities. Those are a lot of fun. Again, all of these are hyperlinked. Oh, I do have the Northwest Surveyor in here. It's down here a little bit farther, but the click on that Northwest Surveyor and watch their videos. It's really cool. Now we're rolling into kind of the 9th to 12th graders and changes the conversations, changes the words, those kind of things as well. And again, kind of that mentorship, job shadowing. We do this a lot when we do our outreach events and do a kind of a sign up for anybody who's interested in kind of working a summer internship, and we do signups. And so it's great to have those job shadowings for the younger kids. You know, you just don't know getting into a career whether you even like it till you get your hands on it. And so giving those kids that ability to come in, even if it's just 1 or 2 days over the summer and do some job shadowing, it's a really cool experience for that. So again, kind of items to bring, conversations, talking points with those kind of in that age group. So again, these are kind of the more high school stickers that seem to go a little bit better with the high school kids. And there's kind of some of the Trickstar and robotic different total stations. Here's that, excuse me, here's the image where we're scanning the kids. They have a lot of fun with this, scan the kids and then show them. What we're thinking about with this as well, we've done this a couple of times now, but buying a little mini printer, portable printer, and then scanning this and printing it out so the kids can take it home. And then you can either throw your state logo on there or the Be a Surveyor logo on there, but at least send the kids home with a little bit of a tangible thing when they go home, and they can show mom and dad about, you know, some cool surveying things. So those are a lot of fun to do that. And then just work on, you know, the public awareness aspect of it around your community. This is where some states are doing really well with it. Minnesota, Wisconsin, they've got some really cool stuff that they do throughout their state association. And so finding ways to get involved with the local community as well. Summer camps. This one's being done through Vincennes University, and a couple of different other universities are starting to do summer camps. But Vincennes does the whole summer camp kind of experience through 3 or 4 days. They get to live in the dorms through the weekend, have some surveying knowledge, some fun activities at night, and then still get that dorm experience. And so this was really great for those 9th, 10th, 11th graders. A lot of fun to, and then it leads into their surveying program as well. So it's great to do that. So I think that's kind of the most of it on the 101 aspect of it. You can scan that QR code too if you want to just pull it up on your phone, but also in that link runs to the PDF copy of that. But that was a mouthful in 30 minutes, but questions or thoughts on the outreach aspect of that? Or anybody want to add something that maybe they're doing and they're having success with, and throw it in the chat or unmute yourself? I know Will's been doing a lot, so we talked about that kind of right at the beginning, but
Yeah, no, the hands-on stuff is always the best.
yeah,
You know, the scanner, like you said, they can hold the data collector in their hand, and you know, usually we're in a gym or something, so I'll scan the basketball goal, and then they can, you know, see it in 3D, and
yeah,
that gets the brain pinging a
exactly.
little bit, and they start asking questions. But
Yeah,
and
nice.
I think the biggest thing with it is well, for me anyways, is consistency, right? Like
Yes,
the future city thing you're talking about, I think we've done it quite a few years. And so they start when they're in fifth grade, and I think they tap out in eighth
correct.
grade. But, you know, the first thing I ask a group when you're going to judge their little project is, has anybody ever heard of surveying? And you get a few hands raised, and you're like, oh, well, how do you know about surveying? They're
Yeah,
like, because you were here last year and the year
yeah,
before. Like, all right, well, at least,
Yes.
so now you remember at least, that consistency and even the schools,
Yeah.
being consistent and going to that same STEM night. You start to see some of the same kids that do the STEM at STEM night, then you see their team at the other events. And so you just, that's what helps me the most, because otherwise you're just the guy that showed up and with some cool stuff. And then
Yeah.
but if you can consistently do it, that really starts to, show them that,
Exactly.
that, yeah, you're into it, and they'll hopefully follow.
Yeah, and one of the things I've been trying to preach as well, or kind of talk about is making sure that we have those schools, that elementary that leads into the middle, that leads into the high school, so that you can kind of create that kind of long-term message with those students as well, right? So you may have heard about you in the fifth grade, and if you go to that same middle school that elementary fed into, right, you can kind of build on those conversations year after year. So not only the consistent message, but the schools that funnel into each other as well to create that consistent message. So, yep.
Definitely. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it all, like I said in the beginning, right? It takes all of us in this industry and to kind of support this. And there's always, the three or four that in every state that really push it. But we've really got to, in order to make any kind of effort, it's going to take lots and lots more of us. And somebody asked me the other day, I was in Virginia, and somebody asked me the other day why they feel like we're so far behind, and as a profession we just never did this, right? There was no outreach for anywhere in my kind of career coming up, and so we're just that many, we're 15, 20 years behind the game of outreach, or even more, 30, 40 years behind on the outreach aspect of it. So we're playing catch up for all of those years that we never did it. So now we're trying to really change the tone. Rob, you unmuted yourself there, maybe. Rob left us. Go for it, Will.
I was gonna say, those recent videos that came out from the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah,
holy shit, those were really good. Like, hey, I heard they spent a lot of money on those, but
they did
I
a
mean,
great job.
that's what it takes. Those are awesome. I've been sharing the crap out of those things.
Yep. I did. I chatted with Chrissy afterwards when we did the Northwest. I said, now we got to come out with Southwest Surveyor. So
Yeah,
highlight the whole kind of Southwest, right? So that'd be Desert Southwest would be a lot of fun to have. And then so the whole thing. So those that may not know about it, but the Northwest Surveyor was basically it was three states. So it was Oregon, Idaho, and Washington, and they all have very similar outreach and very similar kind of working environments and those things. And so all three state associations got together and chipped in funds. And the video itself was right around, I say the whole thing was about 30,000, 30-ish plus thousand. And that included the social media aspect of it. So you're starting to see kind of probably pop up on some of your email or social media threads and stuff now, but that included everything. The original video that PLSO did, the Antonio story, which came out in 24. Amy from PLSO, she told me they spent about 10,000 on that video, or a little less than 10,000. So it can be done for a fair amount of funds, or like like Pacific Northwest did, get together and pool your funds together and then kind of create this whole effort together. So it's it's now we need to come up with or communicate a plan capturing and disseminating the leads. Yeah, exactly, Nick. So it's the ones coming out of Be a Surveyor. So if anybody goes on Be a Surveyor and just like clicks, connect or whatever, those run through Christian at NCWS, and he disseminates that information to the state executive directors. So that part's been working there, but I went to a few high schools, career days 30 years ago. See, Steve? But you haven't done it since.
No, not lately.
Right? So we're just so far behind. And I don't know why, but Rob said he went and did a free Trickstar visit. And so we do, as part of that Trickstar, we do get to provide, if the school and the time allows it, we can do a presentation about surveying before we do the exam, and so that's what we're really big on doing, is making sure we have the time to do the presentation before we do the exam. We administered in Las Vegas last week. We had a school that had 78 students, and we did a whole like 45-minute presentation leading into the exam. So that went really well. We have another one tomorrow morning. It's got like 60 students as well. So we've been we push the Trickstar stuff here in Nevada, and just trying to bring awareness to things. But Nick ran a Trickstar about 3 years ago for PLSO. Decided it wasn't worth it and the money anymore. Yeah, it's been around for, I think, 40 years. I think Trickstar started in like 1984-ish or so. So it's been around a long time, but it's some states, there's only about, I think it's around a little less than 30 states nationally that actually pay the state licensing fee and actually administer and contribute to the Trickstar stuff. So big difference going on into a science class and going into a gym class. Yeah. Science students ask really good questions. The gym students, exactly, Steve. Yeah. Depends on your audience, right? For sure. With the Trickstar conversations, those are great because usually those are the math students, but we really got to find ways to kind of get in with the history classes. We've got to develop some other presentations outside of even Trickstar that we can sit in front of some of these other students. History would be a huge one where we could really highlight and grab the attention a lot of the history kids. So, in the pre-exam, Rob would visit and tell them these formulas that may not make any sense and have useful to them in school are used by us in work and pretty well compensated. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point, Rob. We always do that, and we pay. You pay the students who win first, second, and third, right? So we go in and we try to tell them that math pays. So that's another conversation that you can do. So good stuff. We only got about 30 minutes left, so let me run through the other one too as well really quick. And so this one was the San Diego chapter.
Hey, Trent.
Yeah, go for it. Rob. Yeah, no, it does not like your microphone. There you go.
Nope.
Yeah. You're gonna have to throw it in the chat. I'll wait to start this one if you want to type it in the chat really quick. That's funny. Something is up with your mic today.
Chat.
Nope.
Look in chat.
Oh yeah. About the San Diego chapter. Was paying down to about halfway. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Sorry, I missed that part. 30 places. Oh my goodness. Our Trickstar that we did last week, we had 6 100s within the first 30 minutes, which is pretty impressive. So that was pretty cool. But Brian, we did a 1-hour presentation to a high school career center for juniors and seniors for construction and heavy construction. Got 5 kids to come job shadow and sit through interview process. Accepted one of them as summer help and provided others with information for local service. There, very cool. Heck yeah. That's awesome. We're at Brian. That is awesome. And yeah, Rob says we want to see that math pays well, so that's why you paid down so many places. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. What? Okay, Ohio. Nice. Thanks, Brian. Very cool. Yeah, we could have done a whole hour long. I love doing roundtables, so we do a lot of roundtables at our conferences, but we could do a whole roundtable conversation just on outreach alone. But let me we'll run through this and then we'll save 5 minutes for Nick's conversation at the end here. But so with another one we have kind of put together, and we talk about getting them into the workforce through outreach aspects of it. Now we get them in here, but how can we kind of retain our existing workforce? And so this is kind of what we built this crew exam, or crew guidebook, so credentialing, education, and workforce. So again, it kind of runs through just a step by step how how to kind of build either a mentorship program within your company or provide the resources for your existing workforce and your existing staff to basically just upskill your staff. And there's so much resources out there, so many free resources out there, that we could that we can really kind of upskill the profession as a whole without obviously there's the traditional education past 2 years and 4 year degree programs and those kind of things. But as a profession, we also know that not every single person wants to be a licensed surveyor. And so what information is available for them to continue to be in the profession and be engaged in the profession, necessarily by not having to become a licensed professional and take on those that responsibility. So there's lots of different roles and different things within this program so that you can kind of, whether you're going for your FS or your PS or you're just going through a CST exam, whatever feels comfortable for you within your career, there's definitely something on here. So it's all broken down by chapters as well. Kind of providing clear pathways is one whole particular chapter. Building a culture of just hands-on training and mentorship. This is a huge one. Even within our company, we try to support that. Supporting flexible education and licensure. So again, just kind of running through that. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. So kind of highlighting some certain programs that go with that. Advanced skilling through CST, FS, and PS programs and exams. Leadership development. So again, one of the things we kind of talk about through that, and even chapter 10, we talk about kind of train the trainer aspect of it. And so it's, you've progressed through your field, and you're so great technically, but you may not be a very good leader. And so what kind of resources are out there for you to become a better leader, for you to be able to manage the staff underneath you? And so there's some certain things underneath here. And again, kind of just the role of technology and those kind of things. And then just the whole chapter 9 is really just the hyperlinks of everything that we come through. But just kind of starts off by talking about how we can kind of engage and empower the next generation, and how we really need that to keep our staff engaged in the profession and keep them retained. As we know, like any trade in the US, they're starting to age. The trades are aging out, and so how do we continue to kind of bring awareness to the surveying profession, and then how do we keep them engaged long enough to make this a fulfilling career for them as well? So there's lots and lots of information on here, but providing just the kind of a clear pathway and sitting down with your staff and being able to provide these mechanisms and provide the, like we said, it's whether it's CST because they're not interested in becoming a licensed surveyor, or we talk about just the educational requirements to become licensed in your own state, and then providing those kind of mapping out the steps for the FS and the PS exams as well. So regular feedback as well, how the role of leadership is recognizing just kind of the certification aspect of it. We do at my company, we do a monetary value to anything. If somebody gets their drone license, if somebody gets a CST, somebody passes an FS, somebody gets a degree that helps better themselves, there's always a monetary value to that. And so understanding the importance of that as well. Understanding just the importance of credentialing, and that could be as simple as CST level 1, or why a professional licensure is maybe great for your career, those kind of things. So lots and lots of information in here, and then providing kind of those pathways from an entry level position all the way through licensure or CST. So kind of provided a roadmap on, as you hire some entry level staff, we've kind of gone through and just provided kind of an outline as you bring them on, what kind of skills should be required, what kind of credentialing should they become within that first 0 to 2 years, right? So you're hopefully, after the first 2 years, you become CST level 1, keep them engaged in the profession. What kind of responsibilities do you feel like they should be in charge of after those first couple of years? Next steps, right? Now you've gained a couple of years. what steps should be become to kind of progress your career forward. Now we're into immediate survey technicians. You're at that 2 to 4 year range. And again, some people are going to accelerate faster. We have some younger staff. We have 10 under the age of 30, and some accelerate really fast, and some are just kind of showing up and going through the motions every day, slowly taking a CST level exam every couple of years type of thing. And so every single person is going to be different. And so this benchmark may not be for everybody, but it may work for probably the most in the profession. So these running through just different time frames of kind of that 2 to 4 year window. What skills do you feel like you should understand? What credentialing type things should you be working on after those 2 to 4 years within the profession? What kind of responsibilities should you be taking on? I'm sure you guys, everybody kind of watches along on Facebook about, I've been 3 years as a party chief, and how much should I be paid, and what should I be knowing, and what should I, this, that, and the other, and all those kind of questions that come across the Facebook forums. But this kind of highlights a lot of where you should be along your career. Same thing, now you're 4 to 6 years in. You could, especially as the younger generation, they're definitely excelling a lot faster. So some of these, some of us may not have been survey party chiefs for, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years into your career. So, it may be different. Or my instance, I was licensed professional after 8.5 years. So I was really pushing myself to meet my goals. So it does highlight a lot of these and kind of where you're at in your profession and what credentialing aspects you should be in, what responsibilities you should be taking on at that particular part of your career. And then again, kind of rolling into that professional surveyor aspect of it. So, there is states that you can become licensed. Arizona, California, both of those only require 6 years of experience and no education. So if you really fast track your career and show that progressive experience, you could be licensed in that 6 to 10 year range, right? So really just kind of set your goals and set your staff's goals to really accelerate. So again, going over what kind of role you should be involved, what skills you should be acquiring within that range, working on your credentialing as well. So and then kind of what's the next steps after becoming a licensed surveyor or so many years within the profession. Again, becoming a PM and those aspects of it. So and then you could be all the way to a survey owner, and then what kind of roles and experiences you should probably acquire before becoming a survey firm owner, and those things. So staying engaged with your state associations, those kind of things. So and then that was all just kind of the heavy hitting in chapter 1, and then it goes into chapter 2 about just building a culture of hands-on training. And this is one that we've been trying to push within the company and providing that mentorship for them to be able to go through their credentialing process and upskilling them as much as we can. Again, finding those mentor-mentees that fit those conversations as well. And so lots of information, things, pitfalls to watch for within mentorships, kind of those kind of things to watch for. Then we go through and kind of set up a whole mentorship program as well. And so there's a whole big chapter on mentorship as well. So kind of plan your attack, intro to field surveying and techniques. Within 1 to 3 months, you work on all of your mentorship things within the first month, week 1, week 2, week 3. So if by chance nobody on the call or somebody watching wasn't able to get a part of that YSN mentorship pilot program, this is another good way to kind of take it back to your firm and your staff. Maybe you're the PM of a survey department, and this is something that you can incorporate without going through the YSN stuff as well. Will, if you're not involved, you're never involved. You never evolve. Exactly. That's some guy that love that. If you're not involved, you'll never evolve. So good stuff, Will. But same type of thing. So running through, you got month 2, month 3 of a mentorship program. Now you get some immediate stuff, 4 to 5 week or 4 to 5 months, 6 months. I just kind of want to highlight this. I don't want to bore everybody by reading a lot of it, but and then now you're into kind of that advanced field work and getting ready to CST level 1. So you've hired a new guy. He's got 0 to 0 experience. Now you've kind of set him up with this mentorship program that you can run through within your company. And now we've highlighted what's months 1 through 3 and, 1 through 6. Now we're kind of months 7 through 18. And so you've kept them engaged as a new hire for the first 18 months as well. And you can do the same thing on the office side. So that was the field side. We have kind of a breakdown on the office side. So you've maybe hired a young CAD tech right from high school, or somebody who's just graduated with a CAD degree of some sort. There is a whole kind of office path as well. So things that you should work on with a mentorship program, again, with that 0 to 2 year skill set, and then break it down 1 to 3 months, 2, 4, 6. Again, CST level 1, office, maybe the office side of CST level 1, and you start to push those after kind of that 7 to 18 months conversation. So you can kind of keep them engaged, and then as from there, you just keep moving forward, right? Weeks 19 or months 19 to 36. Get them involved, get them trained, and just keep them engaged in the profession. So I know, we're all extremely super busy in trying to add additional mentorship things to our plate is a lot of work. But maybe if you got some big enough staff and big enough departments, you can kind of put a lot of these things into place. So you got some months here. You got months 19 to 24, and then start working on some other aspects of it. So we've got this really cool kind of outline that you can kind of incorporate within your department, within your company as well. So actually, Nick, you've talked about that, and I need to find this. So Nick says, Jason Hunt's CAD training program for surveyors. He's crushing it with the younger generation on Instagram. And so I'll make sure I add that. I saw your posts recently, Nick, on Facebook. So I need to I'll get that added to this book as well. But so good kind of training aspects when it comes to the CAD software. So there's really not enough training when it comes to land development or civil 3D when it comes to CAD. So I know Carlson has a lot of good stuff, but any of those, Rick Ellis does some really good stuff with land development as well, but there's not enough for sure. Chapter 3 just starts to supporting flexible education and licensure. So maybe you do have a staff that wants to become licensed, and giving them that flexibility to grow within the career and have the flexibility at work as well, right? Somebody who's a field surveyor and is doing a lot of training or a lot of traveling makes it pretty hard to become a professional licensed surveyor. So making sure that you create a company culture that allows them to do that. So there is online programs even just outside of the college stuff. So Illinois did that whole survey tech training classes. Those are really cool. Learn CST's got some great stuff to it. Of course, just all the classes that we've done on Mentoring Monday, either through Dane or Rob or anybody who's done these presentations on Mentoring Monday, there's lots and stuff that leads to those. And then you just start to encourage, the PS and the FS exams, continue professional development for future managers, those kind of things. So chapter 4 is just all about diversity, equity, and inclusion within the profession. So encouraging growth opportunities as well to the disadvantaged or underrepresented groups. We can kind of reach out and really, again, from an outreach aspect, this is kind of a missing link as well. So chapter 5, I don't want to keep rambling on, but you guys can kind of keep thumbing through this book by yourself. But gets into chapter 5 is literally just kind of the advanced skills and what's involved with CST or PS exams. And chapter 6, again, leadership developments, develop that kind of future firm leaders, succession planning. As companies, we have we have a staff of 33, and we have four that are going to be gone within less than 3 to 5 years. And so we've been working on within our own and company, our internal strategic planning on who's going to replace those. Unfortunately, it's three really good mappers and PMs, and then one it happens to be a survey party chief as well. So three really integral parts to the company that all need to be filled within that 3 to 5 year window, and upskilling our existing staff to be able to take that on. So Nick threw in there, Jason's program is about $2,000 for full access and training modules, and then follow along working on real data. So cool. I'll find that link. I don't know if you threw his LinkedIn in there already, so those that want to find that, but I'll get that added to here too as well. Thanks, Nick. But again, creating those opportunities for advancements, those are the things that we talk about within our own company. Things that you guys should all be talking about within your own company and your own departments as well. Working on that succession planning is really important. Continuous learning. So again, taking your younger staff and your techs to the conferences. There's been a lot more surveying conferences. I know, obviously, we're fortunate in Nevada and California. We always do a joint one, but we always have the tech track session of it. So you can always take your younger staff and they can go through the tech track stuff. So maybe not being, sitting through the Jeff Lucas's conversations, but they get to listen through all of the tech track stuff. So making sure you bring your younger staff to that as well. Understand the roles of technology and how they're going to play a role in even just our own development and training tools moving forward. And then chapter 8 is all the online resources. I feel like that is numbered wrong because I thought it was chapter 9, but so these are all the kind of the hyperlinks that you can start to really go through. GeoLearn through Dr. Paiva, he's got some great stuff. The Illinois Tech Sessions, Learn CST, all of these have some really cool stuff. Bunch of different YouTube channels that you can pull through. Construction Staking for Beginners, YouTube playlist. Todd Horton's got some really great stuff. We've had Todd on before. Of course, Surveying with Robert. He's got some amazing tech stuff for learning just tips and tricks of the collectors. I will have to find the AAGS stuff, associated geospatial surveyors, right, Martin? Steve, and I'll find those videos.
American Association of Geodetic Surveyors.
Yeah.
The videos are behind a paywall, but
Okay.
you can get a student membership for $20.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'll throw that in here too. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, obviously we're short on geodesy surveyors too, right? I mean, that's another nationwide kind of issue that we're having. Linda Foster, she's part of our committee as well, our Workforce Development Committee, and she works for Esri, and so she goes through and highlights tons and tons of resources associated with Esri as well. There is some YouTube channels associated with Civil 3D. We'd obviously like to see a lot more, but more Carlson's and different YouTube channels. So if you guys think of things that you're using, again, kind of like the outreach thing, if you're using a lot of stuff, we've got the NOAA and NGS stuff online. Of course, different workshops and conferences. Tons of information on there as well. But the Trimble's got some great stuff. Leica's got some great stuff. TopCon, they've all got great video series and stuff. So things to kind of upskill. We got to talk about the FS, the PS. Dane's got all his videos on our WestFed component, so you can purchase his video series and his book through the WestFed, Western Federation of Professional Surveyors. Tony Nettleman, we've had on many a times. He's got his NLC prep as well. Dane's book. Kyle Brook, we've highlighted a lot of his daily quizzes, and if you've been watching a lot of the Facebook posts, people love how Kyle's questions really correlate to the exam. And so there's a lot of people giving props out to Kyle on Facebook and social media for all of his exam prep stuff. Um, thanks, Nick. And practice exams. So there's, again, Kyle's been working on different practice exams. You can go on and buy his practice exams. HP 33 surveyor, that's still one of the, collectors that we can use on the FS exam. So Jim Kroom unfortunately passed away, but he's got his math book still out there. He did a really great job of putting that together. Oh no, not Jim Kroom. He's still wrong. Jim. Jim Cohen has the math book exam. So, and then Jim Kroom has a lot of books on. He's got all those books that he does. Different fundamentals books that you can buy on Amazon as well. So keep going through the old Caltrans videos. Those are still on the line. Those are I use those in my day of going through and doing my study prep. So great stuff. Same thing, HP 33. He's got a LSIT manual. So there's so much. Then there's Jim Cohen's Math for Surveyor. So Jim Cohen's the one that passed away. He was a Washington old Renton Tech professor as well, but great book as well to go through. We talked about Jerry. We've had Jerry on many times as well. Jerry's website's such a great resource. CFEDS is another amazing resource just to upskill and learn more about the PLSS system and stuff. So, and then of course we just talk about additional resources, mentoring Mondays, wisdoms, those kind of things, and then building your reference library. And then we get into kind of the resources aspect of it and what kind of leadership things are available for that kind of train the trainer aspect of it. You've moved into that PM role and you're great on the tech side, but maybe not so great on conflict resolutions or dealing with different, staff and personalities. And so lots of different leadership role softwares around that go with that kind of stuff. So tons of great master classes. If anybody's ever signed up for those are awesome. Afterburner is one that's put together by the military, which is awesome as well. They've got some amazing classes. So, fast version. This is kind of the highlight of that. And then one of the things I been wanting to do as well is survey tech boot camps. And so they're doing it in Michigan. Actually, I think they just did it this last weekend in Michigan, but I'd like to work with Todd Horton and kind of bring one to, say, the Kansas City, St. Louis, somewhere in the Midwest sometime this fall, and kind of have a whole technician boot camp as well, and get people together. And then for those that, as part of that, come in, like fly in on Thursday, do some sessions on Friday and Saturday, kind of do a CST overview thing on Sunday morning, and then everybody kind of flies from on Sunday afternoon back home. So. I'm working on that. I've talked to Todd Horton a couple of times about getting the boot camp stuff up. So I just needed to. I did so many conferences at the beginning of the year. I haven't had really time to work on that. So those are the super fast versions of those two books, two guidebooks. But please, if you've got questions, you have additional resources either on the outreach side or the upskilling side. Shoot me an email, shoot me the resources. I'll get everything added to each one of these books. But questions, thoughts, comments on that? We'll leave, a few minutes for that kind of conversation. So, sorry, just trying to get a lot out in a short amount of time. Where can you download the crew content? I threw it at the very beginning. Nick, there was the two links at the very beginning. At the 409 mark, I threw in there. There's the Dropbox links, and then there's the crew guide. So when I do post these videos online, I'll throw those links in there as well. But they're both in Dropbox. They're in some Dropbox files that I have. So if you need me to copy it again, I can grab it really quick for you, Nick. Okay, got it. Perfect. Lots of information. Thoughts or questions on that before? Go for it, Will.
You're doing a good job, man. I was using Chat GPT to look up some survey stuff, and it quoted West Coast kids into survey. So
Oh, funny. See you, George. Yeah, that is great. Chrissy had sent me one too. It was like survey presenters or something like that, and my name come up on chat too. I was like, good Lord. Uh,
yeah, you got to create one. I took a class from Nettleman. I saw you when I saw you in the lobby in
yeah,
Orlando,
yeah.
and he was the whole class. He was speaking into his computer, and I mean, he apologized before class and said, "I'm going to be talking into this thing, but I'm creating my own AI."
Oh my gosh,
He was like, "I have, X amount of employees that call me X amount of times a day to ask me one dumb question." He
funny.
goes, now they're going to have, their own Tony AI. And if that doesn't answer the question, then you can call me.
Oh my God, that's awesome. That's awesome. Brian, I'm going to throw them in the chat right now again for everybody. Um, Outreach one on top and then the crew guide on the bottom there, Brian. Um, Good stuff. Yeah, that's funny. The chat GPT stuff was, like I said, it's gonna be crazy. I didn't even do a whole section on AI, but I'm sure, in another year we could have a whole section on AI and how it correlates stuff. But
Well, because that's what these kids are going to do, right? Like,
yeah,
even if you've gone there and you did your whole presentation, when they see you again, the first thing they're going to do is like, oh, what was surveying again? And they're going to look it
exactly.
up. So,
Exactly.
you're supplying that funnel with good content. So,
Right? Yeah. There was a Facebook meme that said just remember someday some kids today is using ChatGPT to pass his medical exam. So make sure you take your health into your own matter.
yes. Oh, yeah.
That one was pretty
Yeah. I had two college freshmen at my house all weekend, and they were telling me about, their teachers can check if
Yes,
they're using it.
that's
So all they got
hilarious.
to do is scan your paper and drop it in there and ask what sources it came from. And
That's
but
crazy. Yeah, that's good. So I'll spend 5 seconds. Mr. Nick loaded a loaded question in the chat. So those that may or may not know, NCWS is working on a task force that is a specifically to lead to licensure for non-boundary, and so it would be designed for those for hydrography, for maybe drone mapping, contour mapping, those kind of things. And they would create this individual module for licensure that would lead to having those different exams. And so they're saying it's no different than when the original PE came out. They realized that they can't have just a professional engineer license. They needed a license of civil. They needed a license of structural. They needed to license all these different disciplines within it. And so it's kind of their same mindset now currently with surveying as well. You've got guys that are doing lots of hydrographic surveying, and in order to do that and become licensed, they need to understand the entire boundary principles as well. And so they're thinking that this non-boundary licensure um, is a way to do that. And so it's an early task force. They sent out, and probably what Nick's referring to is they sent out to 24,000 FE exam takers, so FEs, engineers, exam takers last year, and they sent out three simple questions. It would be if there was a possibility for a non-boundary licensure leading to different mapping and science is what it's actually called. Um, would you, and then the second question would be, would you be interested? And then you had to click, the third question was like, click which FE exam that you just recently took. And so um, they received just shy of 1,200 responses out of the 24,000. And so NCWS feels that that's enough people interested in it that they're going to continue moving down this task force conversation. So again, it's very early stages. Nothing's going to happen for many years. There is quite a few land surveyors on that particular task force, and doing the best they can to kind of guide that ship as well, and protect us as surveyors. So there is a lot more to come on that, Nick, and I don't know how much people may or may not know about that quite as yet, but it's pretty early stages. So anybody on here know much about that outside of maybe Nick and myself? And Nick, where did you get the information from? PLSO email. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, probably maybe through Pat and NSPS reports and stuff like that. Yeah, it's you're probably going to see a lot more of it coming around. So there's a possibility that I believe May, June-ish, sometime I forget. There's going to be holding a meeting where they're going to talk about the different motions that will be brought forward in August at New Orleans at the NCSS meeting, and so that may or may not make one of those particular motions. So a lot more to come. A lot more to come. But make sure you kind of follow again, kind of like Nick. Make sure you follow along with. There you go. He's throwing it all in the chat. Yeah, that was the questions that were asked. Make sure you follow along. Anyone in the profession or coming up in the profession, kind of follow along with this mapping and science exam as it starts to develop over the next years or a few years. They did this recently as well with the PLSS module. So any state out in the West, so there's I believe it's 30 states that actually use the PLSS system, and so now they're creating a PLSS module. And there's been a few people from Nevada, and even Robert Carrington from my office went back to headquarters, NCSS headquarters, and helping write exam questions for that PLSS module. And then once they develop that first exam should be administered in April of 2027, and it's up to the licensing boards to use that PLS module as part of their exam process to become licensed within their state. And by doing so, they may not have to ask as many PLSS questions on their state specific exam, but it's also this module will be a lot more in depth when it comes to PLSS. So there's only typically like less than, somewhere, I think they say less than 10 or 20 PLSS questions on the national PS exam right now. So there's just not enough questions being asked when it comes to the PLSS module. So this would be something similar to that. State licensing boards will have to adopt this mapping and science exam if it does move forward. So doesn't necessarily become law in every single state, but one of the concerns would be in order to do basically what surveyors are doing right now, anyone coming up in the field may have to take 5 different modules. So you would take your PS exam, your FS exam, your PS exam. If you live out west, you would need to take that PLSS module exam. If this mapping and science exam moves forward, there's a possibility, it's developed or adopted in your state. You will need to pass this mapping and science so that you can perform topographic surveys. And so there's the first 4 modules, and then you still have to pass a state-specific exam for each one of those states. So it's interesting. It's interesting to follow, and so keep following that. Will these new certifications require continuing ed? Again, up to the state, right? So I know they're working on it in Arizona to hopefully bring continuing ed to Arizona, but it's up to the state at this point because those are state regulated. Continuing ed is state regulated, not federally or nationally regulated. So it'll be up to state exams to do continuing ed. But you would think, especially with emerging technologies, right? You would think at some point you're going to have some continuing ed on those type of things. So
Yeah, we're working on it. I think we finally got kind of a leg up on it to just, get
get
the bare minimum of it. But I think that's the building block for everything else. And
exactly. Exactly.
But yeah, no, that's the first time I've heard of that. Thanks,
Yeah.
Nick, for bringing that up because I haven't even, yeah, I didn't see anything in the newsletters or anything, but that's kind of been, I mean, I've always looked at engineering the same way with the way they've kind of broken things out, and I
Yeah.
think it's a good idea. I mean, it's everybody knows it's a hell of an umbrella to hang
Yeah.
everybody's hats on. So,
Sure.
um, I mean, like I said, I'd be on board. Let's
Yeah.
go. You
Yeah.
know, I
We'll see.
know
We'll see
if
what
you put
happens for sure.
if you put me in a high rise building or something like that, man, I'm a greenhorn there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I get it. I get it. And I think those professionals should be, there should be a licensure for it because I
Yeah.
mean those guys are responsible for some, you
Yeah.
know, very, very technical things in people's lives. So
Sure. Absolutely.
yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is with this mapping and science thing, you may be licensed within that particular discipline and just like a PE, our ethics or professional ethics allow us to not practice outside our expertise. And that's kind of the push even with this mapping and science thing. So
Yeah, and open up some doors for some different types of certification
sure.
because
Yeah.
that's gonna fight deregulation if you
It
can,
may, yeah.
you know what I mean, create some different avenues that
Sure.
people can get certified in, and that's gonna close the gap and keep
Yeah.
you know
Lawmakers from
keep that
knocking on our
well,
doors.
yeah
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
gonna keep
exactly.
yeah it's gonna keep that value there with a professional certification that can you know so that they can tend the wages that that they should be making and I'm all about that. I like it.
Good stuff. Anything else before you guys want to chime in on anything? Thanks for bringing that up, Nick. I'm glad. Just highlighted a little bit there, but a lot more to come on that, so for sure. So if not, that was a great session. For just kind of throwing one together, I'm glad that worked out. So got some great sessions coming up as well, and then we have Wisdom Chapter 8, Part 2 as well this week. So we're working on roundtables. We're having kind of a hard time with that format, and we're looking at changing some stuff up with that too. I've always talked about like CST Tuesdays, CST Thursday type thing. So we might roll something different on that, but we'll see what happens. But so we're going to skip roundtable this week, but we'll do some couple of things next month on that. So if not, have an amazing week, everybody. It's beautiful weather. It's at that time of the year. So awesome, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks, Trent.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
no worries. Bye, guys.
Bye bye.